Keep your powder dry, folks.
Marco.
Hey, Polo.
There we go.
Good evening, Mike. How you doing?
Hey, doing good. GunsOnThe701.com. We are back on the air.
Yeah, we are. Another week. It's been a busy week, too. Holy
I
cow.
know. You've been building, haven't you?
All that, and I do catch a little news updates. I mean, we've had shootings, we've had legislation, we've had morons trying dumb things. It's been a busy week. And I don't know, what happened to Vance?
Vance is not feeling good. I don't know.
Still not okay?
Yeah, still not okay. So it's all right,
Yep. I heard he had China virus. That's what he told me. And so I guess ivermectin, that's what I recommend. Ivermectin. It works well.
Just spray it right
No, don't do that. That burns.
That burns.
You got to get the injectable, and you just, well, I'm like Scott Buckmeyer. If you ever watch him on Saturday mornings, he takes his and puts it in, I don't know, milk, tea, whiskey. I don't know what he mixes it with there. But we actually have capsules that we put it in, and it works great.
It works great.
I know one thing, the ticks, when I do get on me now that I've been out there in the long grass, they die. If I find them, they're dead, which makes sense with ivermectin. So anyway, so hey, good evening, everybody. Trampas, good to see you again. Saw Trampas last night at our meeting. He is our newest board member at the Grant Sioux County Farm Bureau, so glad to have him on board. Brian Warner, hey, Mr. Fellow MV, glad to have you on. And Eric Newman, he's out. He says he's putting up some new sheep fence on this nice evening and listening to Guns and 701. Great. And we got, looks like, 2 listeners over on Rumble or something like that. So, you know what? I kind of expected that as we go into summer, this is going to happen. So let's get started with the Second Amendment like we do with every show. And we'll talk about that.
All right, throw that up there for me. There we go. A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the rights of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed.
Yep, 27 important words, and they're getting more important every single day. So, guys, we want everybody to know, and we'll mention this again at the end of the show, we are going to move to kind of like what Jamie did, summer hours. So starting the first show in June, we're going to go to 7 o'clock p.m. Mountain Time, 8 o'clock Central, just so everybody knows. You know, it's still going to be daylight out there, but people are probably winding down at that point. Right. So I think that's probably a good idea. And it seems like Jamie's been holding some pretty good viewership by making that move. And I hope that we can do that too. Because I can tell you right now, I had to quit a little early today what I was doing. And I would have loved to have that extra hour.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I mean, you got to get things done while you got the time. That's right. And it's summer hours. And, you're out there trying to get everything done before you come in. Then you got to eat. Then you got to get ready.
And I'm not gonna lie. This summer, I may be calling on some guys to sub with you once in a while, especially when I'm out there haying and the hay is going. But not a big deal. I'm glad we got a bench. That's a good thing.
This weekend, I'm going to be up there with you, so that's going to be
Mike's. Yep, we got 2A day. We could not do it at Axe's place, so we are going to do it down here at Whalen's place. We're going to do that on May 25th, Saturday. Everybody's invited to come down there. If you need, let me know. I'll get you instructions on how to get down there. I know Mike's going to come up here and spend the weekend, so glad to have you and your son coming up.
Yep,
Axe talked about coming down. What's that?
And then Jack is chomping at the bit.
Oh yeah, so I'm looking forward to having. I know that Chris Brownell, another Rax Adventure Team member, and some buddies from out in Minnesota, they're coming out. They come out all the time too, so I'm looking forward to it. I know Eric can't make it, unfortunately. I think he's on call this week, unless that's changed. We'd love to have anybody come over. We're gonna try to set the cameras up, do a little filming, and have some fun. So I'm looking forward.
It is a Memorial Day weekend, and of course, I know there's some people out there that are going to be doing barbecue and whatnot, which means there probably will be a few fires here and there. So, yeah,
There could be. There could be. So
tends to alcohol and beer, and alcohol and the barbecuing.
it happens, don't it?
Tends to happen. Yeah,
I figure you and I are gonna have to run down to the cabin at some point while you're here, and I want to check out. I turned the water on, got everything going, so I want to get down there. But
right.
Yeah, no. All right. Well, should we just get right into this?
Let's get right into it, because you got a good one to start off with here. Of course, we've been talking about how it is to volunteer your time and how hard it is to get people to volunteer. And when you want to volunteer and you want to do something good, especially for something Second Amendment wise, and teach young kids what to do and how to do things properly, and the proper, evaluation, I would say, mind frame to do things. And then what do? They throw 87 pages of rules at you. So
yeah, so I thought, you know what, I've been hearing the whole thing. Hey, we got shortages of volunteers to give hunters ed in North Dakota. I mean, you hear it all the time. All right, fine, I'm going to check it out. Well, so I did the back. I give them the permission to submit for the background check. Whatever, I'm pretty sure that I'm clear. I think we need to. Gave me another idea that I'd like to bring to next year's legislature, since everything at Game and Fish in North Dakota goes to the legislature. Is if you already possess your concealed carry permit, that should be sufficient for your background check, because if you can pass that, you should be good. And I think that's a really good idea. And so did a couple of the.
Now, I'm not familiar. Now we used to in South Dakota, we had the gold card, which was the more advanced card that you could go in and it would be that you passed that. You've already done all that stuff. But now that we've changed the rules where the open carry and all that stuff, that's kind of gone differently. So anyway, but yeah, I mean, it's the same thing. I mean, you've passed all that stuff. That should be like an identification.
I think it would. I mean, there's no reason to have one anymore in North Dakota unless you want to actually carry in a different state, really.
Yeah,
and there's class 1 and class card. 2. Yep. And I think it'd just be a great idea that if you've already went through that, I mean, ours already qualifies for a NICS background system through the federal NICS. Why shouldn't that be good enough for Game and Fish to teach hunter safety? And I suppose nobody ever thought of it. So, I mean, I don't blame them for it. I suppose they had no other way to really take care of that at one point. But now I think it'd be a really, really good idea, as if you already have your concealed carry permit in the state of North Dakota and you're applying to be an instructor, I think that should be sufficient for a background check. But anyway, I passed the background check. I knew I wouldn't have an issue with that so much. So then they send me these 4 files. Okay, well, one's the tax ID information if I would become an instructor, which is interesting. We're not supposed to be paid, but they need to have that. So that's interesting to me anyway. I mean, I wouldn't be claiming any income. And when I called that gal with all my questions, she didn't have a lot of answers for me.
Well, no, they never do. You remember how it used to be when you used to call the NRA main office, and it would be a different person answering the phone each time, and then each person is brand new, and they don't know what the last person knew, and it's just, that's the bureaucracy of it, and especially when you're talking about game fish and mismanagement, it's going to be that way.
Yeah. So, hey, Eric says, yeah, my son Gunner just got done with his hunt safe class today. So he's golden for applying for tags. And yeah, my son took it with him. Your dad was doing it, Eric. So I was happy to see Dell was doing that class. And they both passed. And I don't know, I imagine everybody passed. It's not that tough if you listen and pay attention. They don't set it up so that you fail. They just want you to know the information. So, yeah. And same thing with my son now. He'll apply for a regular resident North Dakota deer tag this year, which will be great. I'm going to have him do that. We get gratis tags here too, but I want him to fulfill the whole thing. I think it'd be good for him. So that's what we're going to do here. And he's got his card. He's pretty tickled pink, and passed it with flying colors, which I'm glad. That wouldn't have said much to me if he wouldn't have.
Right. Yeah. Well.
But getting back to this, like I said, I thought about being an actual North Dakota hunter's ed instructor. And then I started, they send me this 82-page file. It's the Hunter Education Program for the state of North Dakota. 82 pages, Mike. 82 pages.
Is that front and back? Yeah.
No, that's what's bad about it. And, I think it's been a while since they've updated it. Yeah, revised 2005 was when the last revision was.
That's quite... 2005, we didn't have Facebook. 2005, we had flip phone. No, actually, we had bag phones, didn't we? In 2005?
I think we still,
yeah. I'm trying to remember what 2005 was. In 2005, I could see my feet. Yeah, that was a long time ago.
It was. I mean, right here it is, 82 pages. Granted, okay, there's a cover page or so. Let's take 10 pages off. It's still, it's got all this stuff in here. And I read through it. I can see why people possibly do not do this anymore or aren't willing to give it up. Then they send me another link to get on with the International Hunters Education Association website. Now, what that is, everybody, is an online course that you have to go take before you can even do the part here in North Dakota now. So they don't even do that part. It costs $45 to do that. Right. Well, they farmed it out, which they used to do it. Now they farmed it out. And they basically are doing everything that you could do. I mean, they could have a class by an instructor for instructors.
Right.
And do this the same way that Hunter Ed instructors do it for the kids. But no, they farmed it out. I guess they're just way too busy.
Well, I guarantee you have people in game fishing parks and in the government of North Dakota and South Dakota that are getting paid a healthy amount of money per year that could be out there doing that, but really aren't doing much. And so I guarantee you there's always a plethora of people in the departments that aren't pulling their weight. So why aren't they out there teaching that class to the instructors?
And then when you go through all of this, I love the volunteer instructor fundamentals and the things I can tell you right now, I'm probably not going to do it any longer. And it probably has a lot to do with some of the things they expect me to follow. And I'm not doing it. I'm not going to do this bullshit. And they haven't even, like I said, they haven't revised this since 2005. I can't imagine what new revisions would be like. Are they going to have DEI crap in there? I don't know. I mean, I like this one, miscellaneous policy. Of course, 11 years old is the minimum age for a student to be in a class, which is fine. That doesn't bother me. I mean, that's the state law is 12 as far as when you can hunt. So, but courses are only allowed in public buildings, not defined. Never conduct a class in a residence or private facility. Really? Well, I don't know about you, but allowed here in the middle of nowhere, if I wanted to have a class, there's not a lot of public buildings available except at a bar and grill just in Morristown there. You've been there.
Right.
They don't want you to do it there.
You have to go all the way to Lemon, and do it there.
And then I even asked that question. I said, well, the nearest thing to me in North Dakota is at least 40 miles by gravel.
40 miles. Yeah.
She goes, what do you mean? I go, because I asked, can I do this in South Dakota? Well, yeah, you can. We've got an instructor that does that now. I know who she was talking about. He lives over north of Lemon. So, but we do encourage you to hold them in the state. I go, that's impossible. I said, I do have a close facility. I could probably use the fire hall in Morristown to do this. But I don't understand why I couldn't set it up right here at my place. Oh, she's like, well, do you think that'd be smart? I go, yeah, with the people I'd be teaching, it'd be just fine. Mm-hmm. Parents would probably be there. Wouldn't be a big deal. They're worried about if you do it at your private residence. See, this is the problem. This stuff's written for cities, bigger cities, really.
Yeah.
And there's probably problems. I don't know. I know that there wouldn't be here, but so that's one thing that I kind of pissed me off when I seen it. Then they recommend and they really, really encourage you to do this between January and July, which, okay, that's fine if it works in and the weather cooperates because you're before the application deadlines for most of the seasons in North Dakota. And when I asked her about this, well, she goes, we do kind of have a mandatory advertising, basically days and weeks before. But she goes, yeah, you can do them anytime you want. I said, okay. Because I said, I mean, that would be ideal, but a guy could do a late fall one too afterwards for that next class coming the next year.
Coming in, yeah.
Because I said around here, I mean, it's hit and miss as far as weather. I said you could have a blizzard in April, and we've had
Good.
it. I mean, so they have this cookie cutter thing, and I wanted to know how flexible it was, and I'm telling you, I didn't get the impression talking to the lady I talked to. Plus, I talked to finally the guy that's in charge of it.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't seem very flexible to me.
No.
I like this one, class size. No classes will be allowed, processed, or certified with less than 5 students. So when I asked about that, I go, why is that? Well, she basically read exactly what this says. Acceptable instruction of any kind, in particular as it relates to hunter ethics, is challenging to provide in a classroom setting of 1 or 2 students. And this policy will serve to aid, she said. I mean, she read this word for word, in eliminating some pressure from the public to provide classes at any and all times of the year. Well,
That doesn't make it. I mean,
who cares? I mean, if I want to teach 2 or 3 kids because of where I'm at, that might be all that signs up. I don't know. But shouldn't that be I told her, shouldn't that be the instructor's
instructors.
decision, being we're
And
volunteers and we don't get paid?
how can there be less of an intense instruction with 3 kids,
I don't know. Well,
but with 5, it'll be fine?
I asked her this. I said, so 4 is no good, but 5 is great.
Yep.
I said, it's one number. Well, she says they just had to pick a number. So I said, so what you're telling me is it's
arbitrary.
It's just a number. Yes, it's an arbitrary, irrelevant number.
Mm-hmm.
Well, no, I said it is. Trust me.
But what they're saying is they won't certify it if it doesn't meet that criteria.
So, that's a bunch of crap too. Would I probably get 5? I don't know. I imagine I would at times, but sometimes I know. I mean, I can remember Del Newman coming over, and we did finally, I think, get 5 together and I don't know what his number was, to do the bow hunting course, because South Dakota at that time had a separate bow hunting course. And I loved it. I thought, oh, great. Have Del come over, and we did it. And I thought we did just fine. I don't remember we had 4 or 5, but Del come over here and did it for us. And, so I got my bow hunter safety course. Now, North Dakota, that's included. I suppose that's why the bow hunting thing is in there.
Right.
I don't know anything about bow hunting, really.
Well, the way we used to have to do it, when we did it for the 4-H and whatnot, of course, we had the advantage of having Keith and Bonnie, who owned the local, or just until recently owned the local archery thing here, and techno hunts and all that. Mm-hmm. They would come in and they would bring in a rack of targets and this and that. They worked hard to get it, because not only was it helping the next generation come in, but it's also, it's benefiting them in the long run, because that's people falling in love with bow hunting and going to their place. Right. But, it's good when you have a local shop that handles bow hunters. If they can volunteer their time, that's fine. But once again, I mean, not all those guys have all the time in the world either. So you have to get your schedule together with their schedule and on and on. It's one of those things. So,
well, and I think my biggest issue was the online thing too. Is then I started going through what I have to do to take that. I think that was a 3 or 3.5 hour course is what they estimated online, and you could stop it whenever you wanted. Then there had to be so many hours of instruction with another instructor, and then I had to go find an instructor for instructors. Okay, which I get. But those aren't exactly easy to find, I found out when I inquired at the headquarters there in Bismarck. They do them there in Bismarck. I said, oh, okay, that's 100 miles away from me. Mm-hmm. You don't have none down here in the area? They really didn't. And I said, well, how come your game wardens then aren't able to be at least give you the field part of that instruction?
There you go.
She says, well, some have that qualification, but not a lot of them. So I said,
why not?
So that's what I thought. I said, so why isn't that part of their qualification that they have to have when they get the job, or after they're hired, they have to attain it? I said, wouldn't that be really good? Because I go, Elgin has a game warden. I mean, all these areas have their assigned game wardens. To me, who better to give that instruction for an instructor than the game warden?
Yeah, and let me tell you something. If you want to build a nice rapport between hunters and the game fishing parks, have them be part of the youth thing, helping out at the beginning.
Well, Lemon today, the last 3 days, that game warden got to meet the new one there, and he was there doing it. He's helping Dale. I know he'd done some of the, I think more so what the game regulations were, and I thought that was good to have him there. I still have a problem with all cops looking like they're commandos today. You know what? You're teaching kids, take the damn vest off, take your freaking vest and all your stuff off. And be a public servant for a day.
Yeah,
I do. I mean, what the hell? Really? You got to come in there looking like you're going into war?
Well, you made a good example. When you were NRA rep for North and South Dakota, you went in there and you were dressed nice in a suit. You stood out from everybody else, so everybody knew who to look for. But, you could have came in there looking all militarized and all that. But you know what? That's just, what's the point of that? I mean,
Well, I could have looked like the former game warden that replaced me, and nobody knew who he was. He looked like he was
yeah.
So anyway,
this one goes out to you, Triple D.
Yeah. I wanted to talk about this because they complain they don't have volunteers stepping up. I can see why they don't. The amount of hours I was figuring all this would probably actually really be. There's a lot of things in this that go beyond just the course study and the prelim test and all this.
Right.
It's also travel time for those of us who live where I do. And I just think that there's a better way to do this. There is a ton of Pittman Robinson money that flows into these game and fish departments. They don't like to talk about it because that's their pet project money.
Try to find that on their website.
And yeah, you got to actually go pull it out of the federal budget like I do. Yeah. But right now they do use Pittman, and they acknowledge they use the Pittman Robinson money for the materials for classrooms, which is good.
Right.
But you know what? Let's step it up. The funding's there. Take it. Don't go study that little toad in a river that who gives a crap about. Let's actually get it somewhere where it works, and maybe get some more instructors to teach people to for the instruction part of that for the Hunter's Ed program for the kids. I think that's one big problem, and I think they need to really revise this thing. I can give them a lot.
Not only that,
and a lot of
you talked about the fact that they don't have any real video or audio instruction that is current and up to date. And I joked around when we were off the air. It's like the old projectors in high school. Come see the wonders of nature.
Or how about the film strips where they had a cassette player with that and you go beep, and then you turn to
the next thing. Yeah, if you're old enough to remember that, that's fine.
Now, I did have an email come in here. Basically, they said that there is some things available on their website now, but I didn't get told that when I called today. But I'll have to go check that out and see if that's true. If it's true, great. But again, that they should have some pretty updated videos.
Right.
In today's world, it's pretty easy to make them. It really is. So,
well, I know the ones that we were using for 4-H down here when my kids were going through it and everything was late. Well, I'd say late 80s was the last time it was updated, if anything. I mean, you could tell by the style of clothing and everything else and the quality. But I mean, and it shouldn't be that way. I mean, this stuff should be current and up to date, at least every 5 years. I mean, you've got to. It's like we've talked about a lot of organizations out there that stick a lot of money in something and then forget about it. We start it, it's the greatest thing ever, and then we just kind of walk away from it and we don't upkeep.
Yeah, that's a lot of it. So I'm going to get to a few of these comments that are coming in here. Okay, David says he goes, a local electrician does it in his shop, not exactly public, but been doing it there for years, and that's good. I see nothing wrong with that.
Mm-hmm.
We got Josh here. He says, my boy took regular Hunter's Ed. Then this past summer, he got his bow hunter safety through Raised at Full Draw Camp here in Bismarck. And that's what I wasn't sure. I know that we have to cover a little bit of it right here, looking through this instruction stuff, to be an instructor. But I wasn't sure if that was the requirement to hunt in North Dakota as a bow hunter. I don't hunt. I'm not a bow hunter.
Right.
Not that I have anything against it. But I do have a bow hunter certification, which is recognized from South Dakota when I took that. And I didn't know if North Dakota had the same thing or not. I never looked it up, honestly.
Right.
David, how dare you want the next generation to kill the king's deer? Yeah, no kidding.
The king's deer.
We've gone from educating youth to checking boxes. You nailed it, Brian. You just did. They're checking boxes off.
Brian's on with that too, because one of the things we do here in South Dakota, I don't really care for, is it makes it easier, but a lot of kids take the online course only. And
So
I don't know if they're taking it or their parents are taking it or whatever, or they're just sitting there, taking it until they get it right or whatever. But I don't agree with that. I mean, I know it's a good option during the winter months, but it
imagine
seems
though,
to me like
doesn't
something you should go.
South Dakota, I believe, also as well as North Dakota, you take the online course,
Yeah.
but you then have to go do the field training somewhere. And
Mm.
there are instructors doing just field training for those kids who took it.
Right.
But you have to bring in all the stuff you did online and show prove you passed it
Right.
and whatnot. Now, as we talked about here on Friday's show with Todd, South Dakota finally, after all these years, guess what? They accept the free one from NRA that we started in, I think it was 2013.
Yeah.
And I tried to get both these states to do that. South Dakota,
Ooh.
they weren't near as rejective as North Dakota. North Dakota basically told me they didn't want nothing to do with the NRA. And I was like, well, that's dumb. I go, our class is free.
Yeah.
A lot of these others are not. And that was provided through the NRA Foundation money that we raised.
Better paid for. And better paid for. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's a really good course. It's actually endorsed by the that Hunter Education Association. So when you think about that, they should have been on board with it because they're using their stuff anyway. Only got to pay for it. So I don't know. I hope North Dakota will work on this now and get the NRA one as well because it is a free course.
Right.
And I don't know. Someone told me if you take it, you have to actually have a camera on you, like we have tonight, to take it. And then someone might be watching, someone might not. And I suppose that's to ensure that the kids
for
actually
quality assurance. Yeah.
Quality assurance. Yeah. So I don't know. I just wanted to hit on this and say that I think that there's a lot of room for improvement here. I see that things were redone in 2005 was the last revision.
Right.
I think they've added a lot of stuff to this that's unnecessary myself. There's probably some things that could be added to improve it. I mean, I've been writing down stuff ever since I read this 80 some pages. And I guess to be honest, it's probably 70 some pages. With all the you got the covers and the appendixes and things like that. But I'm telling you right now, I can see why when someone checks out to do this, why they would say, you know what, I'm walking away. I'm not going to do it.
Right.
And that's why they have a shortage. I would say that's mostly why they have a shortage because nobody's going to volunteer that kind of time. Guys, it's hunter's ed. What do you need to know? You need to know how to handle a firearm safely. You need to know what the rules are as far as property versus public access land or publicly held land versus private property versus a wildlife, those kinds of things. You probably should have to, and that's part of firearm safety, be able to identify the types of firearms and their actions, right? Bolt action, break open, shotgun pump, shotgun semi, all the types of guns. Stuff. I mean, the basics. This other crap in here, when I was going through this and they basically wanted me to even, talk about their mission is what they do. And I'm like, you know what? And the wildlife management thing, I was reading through that stuff. And I was like, me and them, we differ greatly as to a private property and what you should do and wildlife management. I guarantee you I'm better at it than they are. Go look at your public areas.
If they wanted to be smart about it, they would have had somebody, somewhat renowned in North Dakota or South Dakota, make a video teaching that 20 minutes, teaching that little bit, a video to watch. And there you go. And it's done. So it's taken out of our hands. And now it's true, we don't agree with everything that they do and stuff like as far as management goes. But I mean, they could have done it much easier and put a better resource into it. But
here's their course outline, that they'd like you to use. You can vary from it, but half hour in early heritage or early firearms and hunting heritage. All right, I guess. I mean, I guess if my kid is there, he's probably already been, ingrained with the hunting heritage and probably has firearm experience, but whatever. Then 4.5 hours on firearm safety, which I think is good. 3 hours on hunter responsibility. And I was looking through that as hunter responsibility is such a vague, what you think is a hunter's responsibility, what I do, I know is not going to be the same.
Right.
And not that it'll be bad or incorrect, but it's definitely not going to be the same.
Mm-hmm.
I think the biggest problem with this whole thing is it was completely written by somebody at Game and Fish.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they should have input on that from the volunteers, the instructor volunteers. I think they probably need to get a lot of info from them the next time they revise this, because I bet you they got a lot of great ideas.
Well, they've had some idea. They've had some ideas since 2005. That's for sure.
Yes. So here's the one: wildlife management for 2 hours, and I kind of was going over that, and I was like, yeah. And they encourage you. This, you love this. They encourage you on that online thing that you should get out there and join organizations for wildlife and conservation. I don't agree with that. I don't think all of them are good, and I don't think all of them are bad. There are some good wildlife. I'll tell you what, the Turkey Federation is probably one of the better ones. Their money goes where they say it's going to go, and they understand that the private landowner has a big part in managing and providing things so that wildlife can flourish. Unlike some of these other places where, and I'm just going to throw Mule Deer Association out there, or Mule Deer Foundation. I mean, they encourage also Rocky Mountain elk. They try to buy up land, and then what's the first thing they want to do with it? Turn it over to the government. Oh, great idea. They're doing such a good job with that. And we don't want any more government-held land. That's part of the problem we have. I'm glad to say that North Dakota, over 90% of all land is private land, and that's a good thing. Not every state enjoys that, because if it wasn't, we'd have a lot bigger problem. So, yeah, I got some issues with what they want you to teach in that wildlife management part of it. Game care and identification, I think that's a good thing.
But only a short time.
Half hour is all they want.
Yeah.
Eric says that the Turkey Federation is a bunch of damn yuppies. Some of them are, Eric, but I can tell you, I've met a lot of the guys that are involved in a lot of different states, and them guys, they do more for wildlife than any game and fish outlet I've ever seen, especially for turkeys and other things that benefit from it. They're not all equal either. So
no, but I've met some great people out of there. I mean, Jack got he won a hunt of a lifetime from the Turkey Federation a few years ago. They took him out to Pringle, and fantastic hunt for him. I mean, he chomps at the bit to go out for turkey now. So I mean, he's got all his gear and everything else. But I mean, they do.
I'll tell you one thing about
bring kids in.
Yeah, they do. I'll tell you one thing about Turkey Federation. They are the only organization that came out publicly and has supported the NRA. I'm talking as a whole,
right?
On gun legislation and protecting all firearms, not just shotguns. Mule deer hasn't done it. Rocky Mountain elk hasn't done it. Delta waterfowl, Ducks Unlimited. In fact, Ducks Unlimited wanted to infringe on our property rights here in North Dakota with a $5 million slush fund. We ain't even go into that tonight. Yeah. I'm telling you right now, at least that place actually stands up for an organization that wants to support and defend your civil right, the Second Amendment. So none of the others do that. In fact, they actually team up sometimes. Mule Deer Foundation and Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation in particular have teamed up with anti-freaking hunting groups at times for conservation, or they'll team up with the Nature Conservancy or whatever the hell they are.
Yeah.
They're horrible. So, yeah, I don't encourage joining any of them. Game and Fish right here in North Dakota, I think they used to have a Ducks Unlimited office in their office that they got rid of after we found out about it. That's how close these groups are to them, and they're all hand in hand, and they all got big slush funds when they put them all together. So I do have some issues with that. So I'm going to go down another thing here. Specialty hunting, bow hunting, muzzleloading, and handguns, an hour and a half. So, I mean, not a lot of time spent on that. Survival and first aid, not a bad thing. I got no issue with that. 1 hour. Water safety, a half hour, and then other topics. And then they kind of define what you can and can't talk about in the other topics. I guarantee you, probably going to fail most of their stuff if they ever checked on me.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I just looked at all this stuff, and I kind of figured I'm probably now not going to do it. Not with North Dakota anyway, because I don't believe in some of the stuff that they got in there.
Right.
And as you know, I'm not going to be part of something if I don't believe in what they're doing. Yeah. Now, disagreeing and not believing is two different things. I can disagree with certain things, but when I have a fundamental non-belief in what they're doing, I'm not going to teach it.
Right. So, and I've seen that with a lot of different groups. And so, yeah, you're right. And you've got to teach kids younger to make good decisions. And, everybody's going to be chomping at the bit to get new kids new blood into all their organizations. But, not all organizations are equal. And they're not all out there for altruistic reasons and doing the good stuff.
Here's the 4-page pre-quiz that they give you ahead of time.
Right.
To answer so that you can even get in and start the process. Right. I mean, you read through this, it's like, okay. And some of it, I figured I'd know most of this. You know what? Some of it I did, some of it I didn't, because some of it's foreign to me. I do, like this one here I knew, I guess, because North Dakota requires it. It says mandatory hunter education affects all those born after what date? Well, it's December 31st, 1961. I knew 1961, so I imagine that's the date then. Right. I didn't know the exact date. But everybody in North Dakota that wants to hunt has to take it. That's just kind of Minnesota's the same way. Now, South Dakota, unless they've changed it, once you turn, I believe, 16, or is it 18? Mm-hmm. Maybe Eric knows this one. Then you can hunt. You don't even need a hunter's education course. Yeah, safety thing. But I can tell you right now, if you want to hunt any other state, you pretty much do. So you might as well.
Yeah, Jack's 16 now, so Jack doesn't need it anymore. But
I had never taken it, and I always hunted in South Dakota. Well, as soon as I wanted to go bear hunting in Minnesota, I needed it. So there I was, 21 years old, sitting with all these 12, 14, 15-year-old kids taking it. It was kind of fun, but.
Did they put you in a small chair? Did they put you in one of the little small chairs? That'd be fun.
No, thank goodness we were up at the Forest Service building in Lemon. So. But hey, tell you what, we're coming up on the bottom of the hour. I just wanted everybody to, I know it's maybe a little boring, but I just kind of wanted everybody to know my take on why I think volunteers aren't just rushing in. I think they go look at it and they look at all the time that you have to get. I figured it was going to be 50 plus hours by the time I was done with everything to get certified. I don't think a lot of people are going to do that. So I think they got to really take a step back and look and say, maybe part of the problem is all our requirements. They could really simplify that. I really do believe that. So, well, let's go pay some bills here, and then we'll be right back with, we got a couple other good things, I think, going on tonight.
Yeah, I think we got some good stuff tonight.
At least I think we do. All right.
I'm from the Athlete's Foot Foundation.
Brother, hey, can you get my demo tape to somebody?
Lauer Auto Repair, located at 309 South Washington Street in Bismarck, North Dakota.
Give them a call at 701-258-6308.
The team of mechanics at Lauer Auto can take care of any problem your vehicle is having. And when you do business with Lauer, you can be assured you're doing business with a pro Second Amendment America First repair shop. There are plenty of other auto repair shops in the Bismarck-Mandan area. But why take a chance at patronizing a shop that might not have your beliefs at heart? Make no mistake. Lauer Auto is your pro Second Amendment repair shop. When you talk to the guys at Lauer Auto, don't forget to tell them that you heard they are a sponsor of Guns and the 701 and that you appreciate their support of our pro Second Amendment, pro North Dakota live stream and podcast. That's Lauer Auto Repair, 701-258-6308.
701-258-6308.
Located 309 South Washington Street in Bismarck, North Dakota.
Experience the exhilaration of power in your hands at Bloodline Kinetics. Why Cerakote? Simply, it aids in firearm preservation while also giving your piece a unique look. Barrel threading, NFA laser engraving, bolt handle threading, mount, level, and bore, sight scope chamber, rebarreling, and much more. Bloodline Kinetics is meant to reflect a long American lineage in gun ownership, who stand for the Second Amendment rights, Bloodline, and the science behind gun accuracy. Kinetics. To some, it's just a constitutional right that can go away. To us, it's in our American bloodline, and we believe it should stay that way. Here at Bloodline Kinetics, we understand that hunters, sportsmen, women, and gun owners should have a quality firearm. Stop and see us at 2008 Morrison Avenue 2 in Bismarck, North Dakota, 58504, Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Call 701-390-7997. Visit our website, bloodlinekinetics.com.
All right, we're back. Hey, I just love that.
Gunsandthe701.com. Hey, by the way, before you go on, new addresses are actually new address for our
Mandan
sponsors.
Sporting
Mandan.
Goods.
Yeah.
Mandan Sporting Goods is going to be at 206 4th Avenue Northwest. If you don't know where that is, guys, it is just, I believe, 2 blocks. Someone have to correct me. A block or 2 blocks just out from Runnings in Mandan. If you're familiar with that, just take a left there, and you're going to run right into the building. So
hopefully coming up in June.
June 1st, he's having a big open house. I believe he opens at 9 o'clock. And Jamie and I are going to plan to be there, giving you a live play-by-play once in a while throughout the morning. I don't know how long we'll do it. We'll have to talk about that. But we're planning to do there. I don't know. I don't want to announce exactly what we're doing, but there's some talk of if you hear it right here on Guns and the 701, you're going to get a discount when you walk in the door. So keep that in mind. We'll have more details on that, hopefully,
as we get closer.
And that's a week from this Saturday, guys. A week from the 25th. Brand new grand opening for Mandan Sporting Goods. We get a little free.
It's hard to believe it's almost June already.
Oh, isn't it? I know. Hey, Pat, good to see you over. We got around 8 or so on Rumble, but he's been chiming in over there. So yeah, he said he tuned in late. What'd I miss? I updated him while we're doing the break. And he's
I got some guys over on Twitch too, so appreciate that.
Good.
So yeah,
hey, Twitch. I would have never thought. Well, it was free to sign up, so why not? Right
there you go.
I'm gonna do a little follow up here because there's a couple guys here on here. Right. I didn't think it was Josh says I don't think it's mandatory for bow in North Dakota, so that could be, and that's probably included with the hunter safety deal. Right. And David said that he says I don't specifically have bow training. I still have a bow tag option, but I haven't attempted to buy one though. So. There you go. So it sounds like you can still do it. Not a big deal. All righty. Well, I guess what is going on here?
What's David Fettig say? North of Anytime Fitness, I believe. That's what he's saying for Mandan, right? So look at it.
North, there you go. Yep. All right. Well, do you want to hit on one of yours? Or you want me to go to one?
Yeah. Well, we've been talking. We talked last week about Dexter Taylor. He was the guy who has 3D printing parts to rifles and whatnot. He had a dreaded arsenal. He had 50 rounds of ammo on him.
Ooh, whole 50 rounds.
50. Yeah, that was
this even made the Clay and Buck show. I heard him talking about this.
Yeah, but anyway, 10 years they've given this guy for this. They were trying to make an example out of him, but he is actually going to be taking one for the team. I think he's going to be one of these guys that takes it up the ladder and we get it back to the Supreme Court. And like you said, on Bruin and everything else, it'll all be bounced around. But on his quote, this is not the end. This is not even the beginning of the end. This is perhaps the end of the beginning. He is going to continue fighting for rights for Second Amendment. And even in a state like New York, he's working hard. And like I said, he's a hardworking guy. He takes care of his kids. He takes care of his family, and his mom he takes care of. And, she's very elderly and whatnot. He's been taking care of her in his house and everything. But, he's turning out to be, kind of a shining star on this. So I'm got the best of hope for him, and I'm hoping that the big groups that always are talk stand up behind him as well and help him out on this fight, because we need to get these arbitrary, ridiculous Second Amendment, anti-Second Amendment laws that are thrown all over on these books, shot down here and there. I mean, we teach kids. What is it called? CAD? The
computer-aided drafting. Yep.
Yeah, computer drafting and all that in our high schools, in our junior high schools, and everything else. We're teaching kids to create these things and think outside the box. This guy was making pieces for the shotguns and the rifles that he has, and I understand that. And then the cat's out of the box. Instead of outlawing this guy, figure out a way to make it where he can make his own pieces. I mean, if you got guys out there making knives, if you were in the UK and you were a knife maker like we have so many here in the United States, and they have them over there as well, oh my gosh, they would go crazy on us. I mean, you have British people that see our love of knives and guns over here, and they just go nuts. And that's fine. That's why we kicked their ass in the first place. But the whole point is that, we are a creative people, and we can make our own things. We don't need the king's signature to make things. We can do it ourselves. We can, I'm amazed. I have a friend of mine, and I've said this before on the air, over at Boyd's Gunstock, went out and bought up the old lathes and the machines that from Springfield that make the M1 Garand
the wood
stocks.
stocks.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. But the original ones. And I'm like, what would have happened to those things if they didn't buy those up? Would they just gone into the dump and whatever else? I mean, those are classics. Those are the originals that made the original. So therefore, if you wanted to get something fixed, that's definitely where you'd want to go for your M1. But things like that, we throw things away so much that can be used. Why not be a society? We've got all these shows on TV that show be self-sufficient and make your own things. But then when you start doing it, we can't have that.
Well, some of the best machining lathes and machining equipment is still the old stuff. I mean, I see it all the time in industry where they keep the old machines going, and they're from the 30s or from the 40s, when they're going through our industrial revolution, big time. At the turn of the
so
century.
Many of the colonies around here, Rosebud and everything around my area, they're still running old Cadillac laving machines and stuff, way old stuff that I didn't even know made lathe machines. Yeah, but they keep them running, and they keep them running right. And why? Well, why not? But we don't make things anymore to last. So that's the thing. So that's what
just get yourself some filament and do a 3D printer now.
Yeah.
No one really builds anything. They do a CAD program, they download it and print. There's some cool stuff. I'm not gonna lie. I've seen my nephew's done some, and I got a cousin who does it, and they made some really, really cool stuff. But I still want to see them old lathes and things like that. I mean, some of the best guns we have today were made on those lathes. Think about that. So hey, Dan's joining in a little late, but hey, glad to have you on, Dan. But no, I'm telling you right now, I just going back to that case, 10 years really for 50 rounds of ammo. And I mean, I remember watching some of the reports on this. Are you kidding? They made it sound like this guy had an arsenal of guns. And
they used the word arsenal. They used the word arsenal.
An absurd amount I heard of ammo. I'm like 50 rounds.
50 rounds. Yeah. 50 rounds.
I couldn't believe that. So yeah, I'm glad. I don't know why people stay in New York. I'm glad some people do, because otherwise they'd all be out here. But yeah. And we're getting enough people from out of the area moving out here. And problem is with that is it took till now for them to leave. So what kind of ideology do they really have moving out here? We'll find out. We got an election coming up.
Yeah, I know. We do. It's kind of important. Speaking about the election, by the way, I had one for that as well. This came out of the New York Post. Migrants rushing to the borders now in case Biden loses in November, because they don't want to try to come over when Trump comes back into power. So on
correct, it's illegals. Terminology is everything.
Well, it's blacked out on my page. It didn't come out properly. But anyway, I was going. But it says, let's see. Colombian brother Ricardo, 20 years old, and Sebastian, 18, spoke with the Post after crossing Arizona border illegally last week. They said they had been receiving assistance at the Yuma Regional Center for Border Health as they waited for a bus to Phoenix Airport, where they were later catch a flight to New Jersey. We think that the elections, if Trump wins the election, it will be harder, so they want to get it done now.
Well, I'm sure, and they're probably right.
And that's the thing, is like no matter what your thing is on the politics, is that it was tougher getting over during those periods. So I mean,
it was under control by a big margin compared to now.
By a big margin right now. And right now, I mean, we've seen people rushing the border guards and pushing their way through and all that, and protesting. And I'm like, you're not protesting. If you cross the border, you're
committing a felony. It's a federal offense. And I don't know how to be any
They changed the terminology on it. But I mean, I don't understand why you don't declare that an act of war right there. I mean, you are forcibly coming across the border. And I'm like, they want to show the families that come over, that's fine. But they're not showing all the men, the legal age men coming over in droves. And,
there's not that many families coming over. That's just not the reality of it.
Well, no, but they repeat the same. They take a family and they'll show the same footage of that repeating for about 2 days. They'll play that same story every hour, and they'll show that same family coming across the border, that same family. And I'm like, and so according to your brain, it's basically saying, well, look, they keep coming. Well, no, it's the same ones. It's just baffling. But, that's all the media's doing that as well. And, of course, they don't report like they should. And
no, we don't have that anymore.
We don't have it on we don't have it on Fox. We don't have it on CNN. We don't have it on any of them.
The only thing I see probably is the closest thing is Real America's Voice, and there is some real actual reporting done there. And then, of course, there's the opinion shows as well, but there is actual real news reporting happening there. But that's where I watch Law and Border. That's why you want to go and see exactly what's happening live a lot of times from the border. Watch Law and Border. That guy, he's down there. He's consistently down there. And when he's interviewing people or talking to them as they're busting through the border or going through a gate, guys, I'm telling you, this is true. The gates are left open, and they just come through. And he's, where are you heading? New Jersey, New York, LA. They know exactly where they're going with their new phone, their new backpack, getting their water refilled, and they're getting on buses and heading out. Yeah. That's all by us. That's our government. That's the Biden regime right now, putting these people and dispersing them throughout the country. I mean, the one guy on there, and I've talked about this before, he said Sioux Falls. Like, whoa, Sioux Falls? Really? Hey, Doug wants to know, and I don't know this. I bet David might. If you build a flintlock, do you need a serial number from the ATF? I think
if you build one, you do. If you have one that is old enough, what is the 1880, 90 something?
I really don't know the answer to that.
I remember some of the pawn shop shows that were out a while ago, and there was a thing where they could not receive. They had to go through an FFL unless it was pre-19 or 1896, and I might be wrong with that exact date, but it was the 1800s. It was the late 1800s. So if it was pre that, then it was basically an antique and blah blah blah.
Well, so David's listening in. I know he's pretty up on that as an FFL dealer. I don't know. That might have been they might have required that in their state because you got these states passing laws. It just seems to me antique guns. But I don't know. I don't know if the definition of antique would be flintlock that you built yourself. I really don't know that question.
See, I would think that
I will find out for you though, Axe. I'll definitely try to find that out unless someone knows there. It shouldn't be hard to figure out. Just hop on the ATF and I'll take a look.
Yeah.
I'm sure they got my IP address anyway by now.
Yeah, that's true. They're probably already looking it up for you.
Well, I go on there a lot to check out and see what they're trying to do to us next. But I'm going to throw this out here, too, that May 28th, guys, at 7 p.m. Mountain, 8 p.m. Central. That's May 28th, next Tuesday. We're going to have North Dakota U.S. House candidate, Mr. Dr. Rick Becker, is going to be on with us. Now, Rick has got a stellar record when it comes to Second Amendment rights.
Right.
And that's what I really like about Rick is because he has a record proving exactly how he feels about the Second Amendment. So you're going to want to tune into that, right here where you're listening now, 7 p.m. Mountain, 8 p.m. Central. U.S. House candidate Dr. Rick Becker will be on with us. And we'll try to take some questions. I know we're going to talk to him quite a bit. We're going to try to limit it. We really don't want to go 2 hours, but and I'm sure Rick's got other things to do too. But if you want, you can chime in. We'll try to get to as many as we can. Remember, we're pretty much Second Amendment based, and we set that when we started having candidates on. And we don't allow any gotcha questions. I think that's insulting, honestly.
Right.
So they come on here, ask them legitimate questions. We got no problem with that. And he's not afraid of the hard questions. So just so you guys know, we're going to be having him on again.
I'm working on a couple of people here as well. Marty Overweg is District 21 here in South Dakota and strong Second Amendment guy and very limited government guy. And he ruffles a lot of feathers in Pierre. That's for darn sure. But he gave me a lot of insight on one of the reasons why the gun ranges out in Rapid City kind of fell through and whatnot. And once he explained it to me, it made a lot more sense hearing from an actual legislator on the things the government was trying to slide through and the monies and this and that. And so, it's a lot
of things that weren't right when they were trying to do that.
Exactly.
I was so involved in them too. So.
Working on him as well.
David says, I don't think you have to do an ATF check or have a serial number, basically is what he's saying here. because you can mail order a muzzleloader. And I thought that was still the thing. You could still mail order a muzzleloader, just have it shipped. You know, like you were looking at those guns maybe for a raffle.
Right,
night?
those short ones, yeah.
Those don't require any background checks, so that's probably the case.
I'd forgotten about that.
And we'll keep you tuned in on that. I think we are going to do a raffle with something like that. I think it'd be kind of fun. I think it was appealing to enough people that we'll try it possibly and see how it goes. But we definitely are going to have a raffle. It'll probably start this fall. Northwest Shooters down here in Morristown is going to be the organization running the raffle for us. So we want to thank them. And that mainly has to do with I'm done complying with the archaic gaming rules in North Dakota. So we'll just run it out of South Dakota, and we don't have to follow any of that. Everyone's welcome to buy a ticket, but we do not have to follow their insane, ridiculous laws up here for gaming.
There you go.
Josh Patterson got an inline muzzleloader, walked in, bought it, no paperwork at all. There you go. And that's in Commie Soda. So
and that's a lot tougher over there, isn't it?
Yeah, so good to hear that. Let's see. Rumble? No, I guess I thought we might have some over there. All right. Well, then I'm going to hit on something here.
What do you want to hit on?
Well, it has to do with elitist politicians. Imagine that.
How much time do you got?
Well, I'm going to keep it pretty low. You know what? Maybe we should do a quick break first.
I think we should do a quick break because you need to catch your breath before you start on this one. So,
you think so?
Yeah, I think so. Breathe in.
All right, guys, we're going to take our long break. Thank all three of our sponsors, and we will be right back, and we'll get into this. We got the Badass of the Week coming up, too, so see you right back.
I'm from the Athlete's Foot Foundation.
Brother, hey, can you get my demo tape to somebody?
Lauer Auto Repair, located at 309 South Washington Street in Bismarck, North Dakota.
Give them a call at 701-258-6308.
The team of mechanics at Lauer Auto can take care of any problem your vehicle is having. And when you do business with Lauer, you can be assured you're doing business with a pro Second Amendment America First repair shop. There are plenty of other auto repair shops in the Bismarck-Mandan area. But why take a chance at patronizing a shop that might not have your beliefs at heart? Make no mistake. Lauer Auto is your pro Second Amendment repair shop. When you talk to the guys at Lauer Auto, don't forget to tell them that you heard they are a sponsor of Guns and the 701 and that you appreciate their support of our pro Second Amendment, pro North Dakota live stream and podcast. That's Lauer Auto Repair, 701-258-6308.
701-258-6308.
Located 309 South Washington Street in Bismarck, North Dakota.
Experience the exhilaration of power in your hands at Bloodline Kinetics. Why Cerakote? Simply, it aids in firearm preservation while also giving your piece a unique look. Barrel threading, NFA laser engraving, bolt handle threading, mount, level, and bore, sight scope chamber rebarreling, and much more. Bloodline Kinetics is meant to reflect a long American lineage in gun ownership, who stand for the Second Amendment rights, Bloodline, and the science behind gun accuracy, Kinetics. To some, it's just a constitutional right that can go away. To us, it's in our American bloodline, and we believe it should stay that way. Here at Bloodline Kinetics, we understand that hunters, sportsmen, women, and gun owners should have a quality firearm. Stop and see us at 2008 Morrison Avenue 2 in Bismarck, North Dakota, 58504, Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Call 701-390-7997. Visit our website, bloodlinekinetics.com.
Ever tried catching a fish with your bare hands or hunting a deer with a stick? Don't be that guy. At Mandan Sporting Goods, we've got all the hunting and camping gear you need. We're your one-stop shop for outdoor adventure.
A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed.
Check us out at mandansportinggoods.com, or better yet, stop in to 210 East Main Street, Mandan, North Dakota. Mandan Sporting Goods, where the outdoors meets functionality. Store hours, Monday through Saturday, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Closed Sunday. Take up arms at Mandan Sporting Goods. Your adventure starts here.
All right, we're back. Took a nice little break there that I probably needed. So, Jamie, he sent me a message. He just wants me to remind everybody that don't forget to tune in Tuesday, like we talked about. Also,
Right.
Jamie will be on live on the 30th with 701 Nation, I believe. And remember, he moved to an hour later as well.
Right.
As far as the grand opening, Brandon's not sure that's going to be, quote, his official grand opening, but we're going to be there either way on June 1st for his soft opening. Whether he calls that his official or not, but we're going to be there having some fun. And yeah, we'll give you the details. Probably we'll know more by Tuesday, the way it sounds. And then Jamie will have him on again on Thursday night after our Wednesday show. So Wednesday show, we might even have another guest, the way it sounds, if you get that set up the way it sounded, right? All right. Well, see if we got any chats we got to go to. He says, Josh says, I'm in Bismarck. Now, you could get me live in that shithole they call Minnesota. Okay.
I think he's talking to somebody else. Yeah.
No. And David said that there was a manufacturer that made ARs with a short barrel that did not require the F4, an F4 form 4. The trick was that the barrel wasn't rifled. It was splined. See, there are loopholes in this. There always is. There always is. And I'm
just don't say them out loud because we don't want Minnesota to figure it out.
David also said best barrels in the world are made by an old Pratt and Whitney. So yeah, think about that. Those machines, how old them are. So Eric says, dang, I can't make his grand opening because guess what? I'm on call again. I know you're always on call. You took too many days off, I guess. So we'll get you up there though. I think we're going to try to plan something this summer as well down at the cabin. Down on the lake that we have down there in Shade Hill, where it'd be kind of a Guns in the 701 weekend where, if you want, I know there's prairie dogs around that area on the public access lands. I won't call them public land because they're not the government's land. They're held by the public. And so I don't call it Forest Service. It's public access lands. But there is P-dogs down there. But if you shoot down there, you're going to probably have to buy their non-resident license if you don't live in South Dakota. So we'll keep you tuned on that. But that might be fun. I know we did something like that for NRA that one year and had a great time. So,
by the way, and I'm going to try to remember which way to point. Notice that, of course, our QR code up there. We need more ballistic gel for Jamie. So if you got anything you want to donate to us real quick over there, you can see it. You can click on that, take you to gunsin the701.com. And if you want to donate a little bit, we can always use more ballistic gel to do some of our shows.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Just go right there, scan it, and you can donate any amount you want. We made it really easy for you. So
there you go.
All right. So I'm just going to quick go into this. And I read this article. I thought, I kind of liked what the guy was saying. And he basically said our politicians think they're elitists and that we should bow down and they are the all-knowing. I mean, really, that's kind of what we're looking at today, isn't it?
Yeah,
we hear it all the time.
Both sides.
We're not smart enough to take care of ourselves. We're not smart enough to secure our own safety. We're not smart enough to do anything. They know best, and it's all for our own good. Just trust them, right? I think the Indian nations around here, I think all the tribes found out that wasn't true. There's just trust us. We'll take care of you. And that didn't end well for them. So I don't trust them as far as I can see them. But I like how he started out. He says here, today's gun control politicians are making it clear. It's not just guns they despise. There are two other primary obstacles to civil disarmament that they loathe. He's right. One's the Second Amendment, which we all know. And the other one is you, us, we the people. The gun owner. And he's absolutely right. And then he referenced, remember Obama when he went off and he basically refused to roll on all of us gun owners because we refused to submit to his insanity, really, for gun control. And then he told everybody at his fundraisers in a San Francisco one that small town Pennsylvania voters were left behind, especially by political elites. So he tells everybody that the small town people are being left behind by elites, but guess what? they think they're elitists. Check this out. And this is quoted by him, and he says, and it's not surprising that they get bitter. They cling to their guns or religion or towards people who aren't like them, or anti-immigrant sentiments, anti-trade sentiments as a way to explain their frustration.
I'd forgotten all about that.
Obama said that in 2008. And I remember when he said that. I was like, really? Yeah. So just bitter, gun-clinging crazies, right? Us little guys out here, you elitist piece of shit.
both Democrat and Republican, until they want to vote, and they show up like this with their sleeves up and at your town hall going, I'm just like you. I've got a 12,000 acre farm just like you, and I've got armed security just like you, and
just like me. Yeah,
it's tough making it here. I had my driver had to go all the way around.
Yeah,
But
do you ever notice that the people that want to disarm us are usually protected by guns, and a lot of them?
Yeah.
Hey, I got to throw this in. Eric Newman says there's lots of ballistic gel coming across the border illegally. I love it.
And it moves.
I love it. And it's a moving target, so you get a little practice there for them running shots. Anyway. So then let's remember old Hillary Rotten Clinton. She ran for a little office there too called president and got her butt kicked, which was nice. She was Secretary of State at that time. She rebuked him for saying this. She says, I was taken back by the demeaning remarks that Senator Obama made about people in small town America. Yeah. His remarks are elitist and out of touch. Now think about it. That come out of Hillary's mouth.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, that didn't last long. Remember that little election in 2016? Yeah. So remember, everyone remembers this. To just be grossly generalistic, you could put half of Trump supporters into what I call the basket of deplorables, right? The racist, sexist, homophobic, xenophobic, Islamophobic, you name it. And unfortunately, there are people like that, and he has just lifted them up. So she went from being appalled by Obama, being an elitist, to she put us all in the deplorable basket. And, even back then, I was like, I'm not phobic of anything. I'm not scared of them. I think they're wrong. Doesn't make me a phobia.
People coming across the borders illegally is not. I'm not afraid of them. I'm afraid for my country.
They want to kill you, but
I'm afraid for my country.
But it doesn't make you a phobic. Insert your first part of that. I'm not. I don't have a fear of that. I don't have a fear of anything like that. It's what it's going to do. So yeah. I just love how all of these people too, they started including things and they wanted to ban. Remember when we started calling ARs, they were a modern sporting rifle? Because that's what they are. Well, then they caught on to that and then they wanted to ban those too.
Right.
By the way, it still is, and as it was then, it's one of the most popular selling guns right now in America is the AR-15 platform. It still is. It's the most popular. It's the most sold. It's number one, baby. And I just saw a report. After having a down month last month, April came in as one of the 5th largest months for NICS background checks. Again, it was number 5, I believe, in all of all the Aprils on record that came in there. So I was happy to see that back up there. Now, let's fast forward to 2024. Now, we all know the Democrat Congress members. We know what they're like, right? We've been seeing it. They've been introducing gun bans. They did get that piece of crap through with Republican support, the bipartisan Safer Communities crap that did nothing. Well, Congresswoman Nancy Pelosi, ever hear of her, Mike?
Oh,
Mike know her? Well, she basically is an elitist too, and we're doing it for your own good. She was at the Oxford Union debate. Now, guys, Oxford is a place where a lot of people have been on that stage and debated and been part of it, right? I mean, it's actually had some. Well, Ronald Reagan, he stood on that very stage. Anyway, so April 25th, she said certain Americans are poor souls who are looking for answers. Their biggest sin, according to her, is not bowing to the orthodoxy of the gun control elite. And that is what she really does believe. That's our big sin. We're the wrong people.
By not bowing.
She didn't think that was enough, though. She goes on to say cultural issues cloud some of their reception of an argument that is really in their best interests.
I've always thought, one thing I wish that one reporter would have asked Nancy Pelosi's husband is that, would you have liked to have had a gun, a pistol, to defend yourself when that guy came in to hit you with the hammer? I mean, seriously, ask him that question and see what his answer is. Because I guarantee you, if he had the choice and he had one, obviously Nancy doesn't let him carry one, but or carries his purse, I guess. But it's
maybe in his purse.
Somebody break into my house and beat me with a hammer, and and the same people are telling me, no, I don't need a gun to defend myself. And I'm like going, well, you lost me on that one.
Yeah.
I like.
I have to throw this in here because we talked about commie soda.
Yeah.
Well, this comes from over. You got one up there?
Yeah, Brian Warner, proud deplorable.
Yeah, proud deplorable. So I'll show you this. I brought this over for Rumble, and that's from Patrick over there. He says, say what you want about commie soda. At least we can carry at our Republican state convention. Yes, you can.
Yes,
you can.
True.
And we couldn't do that in North Dakota, even though that's a pillar of our platform, a Second Amendment rights. I raised a lot of stink about it here, and I think it actually affected a few of the attendees or attendants.
But think about that. I mean, that's in your platform. It is in your platform.
And Minnesota can do it. So, I guess the people in the GOP in Minnesota are a little smarter when they pick their facilities and where they can do it because, I had that all figured out for them. But you can't hold it in Fargo where they did.
Well, you could always you could tell them the next year or when next time they do it, they can go ahead and rent a place over in Minnesota.
And there you go. The North Dakota. No, we wouldn't be able to because we're all non-residents, and we probably wouldn't be able to unless we had conceal. I'm not sure. I think concealed. They do recognize, I think, our class too, but I don't know that for sure.
No, we'll have to figure that out. We got time.
Anyway, so getting back to the story, basically gun owners who reject Nancy's and every other gun banner's politically driven gun control agenda, we're just not thinking. We're not thinking right because this is all for our own interest and our own well-being, right? You peasants. You peasants don't know nothing. We know better. We are the elitists, and that's the bottom line. They don't give a crap about us, the people. We're the ones that elected these people, but they don't think that they answer to us anymore. And I love the fact that the Supreme Court has stepped up and made decisions like Heller and now Bruin. And I'm even going to weigh it off of the Second Amendment. Roe versus Wade, that should have been over. This should have never happened, but it was overturned finally because it is a state issue. It's not a federal issue. And that's the big thing. I want to see everything return to the state's power. Then you can go to the state that you like, right? If you don't like the policy in the state, go to the one you like. Take your choice. And that's how it was designed. It's supposed to be we the people. Congress is supposed to be limited in what they can do, especially on the Second Amendment. And that's why those 27 words about not infringing on that right exist.
Now, if we have a federal government that protects its people, let me go and throw this in here real quick because I saw that today down in the Caicos Islands, it's up to 5 Americans. 5 Americans are now facing up to 10 to 20 years for having ammo, no guns, but ammo in their suitcases or luggage or carry-ons. Yeah. So tell me the government here, and the government here has sent a letter to the Caicos government. No. You send people down there and you get our people back.
Yes.
And then
minor infringements. Yeah. I couldn't agree more with you. I don't know if I'm locked up or if Mike is locked up. I don't know. Am I on or are you on, Mike? Can you? I don't know for sure. All right, I'm back. Mike is not back. So tell you what we're going to do. We're going to take a quick break here. If Mike's not back on, we will roll with his badass of the week again and then wrap the show up because that's pretty much had all the subjects covered I wanted anyway tonight. So we'll take one quick break here. We'll be right back and we'll see if we can get Mike back on the air.
I'm from the Athlete's Foot Foundation.
Brother. Hey, can you get my demo tape to somebody?
Lauer Auto Repair, located at 309 South Washington Street in Bismarck, North Dakota.
Give them a call at 701-258-6308.
The team of mechanics at Lauer Auto can take care of any problem your vehicle is having. And when you do business with Lauer, you can be assured you're doing business with a pro Second Amendment America First repair shop. There are plenty of other auto repair shops in the Bismarck-Mandan area. But why take a chance at patronizing a shop that might not have your beliefs at heart? Make no mistake.
Make no mistake.
Lauer Auto is your pro Second Amendment repair shop. When you talk to the guys at Lauer Auto, don't forget to tell them that you heard they are a sponsor of Guns and the 701 and that you appreciate their support of our pro Second Amendment, pro North Dakota live stream and podcast. That's Lauer Auto Repair, 701-258-6308.
701-258-6308.
Located 309 South Washington Street in Bismarck, North Dakota.
Experience the exhilaration of power in your hands at Bloodline Kinetics. Why Cerakote? Simply, it aids in firearm preservation while also giving your piece a unique look. Barrel threading, NFA laser engraving, bolt handle threading, mount, level, and bore, sight scope chamber, rebarreling, and much more. Bloodline Kinetics is meant to reflect a long American lineage in gun ownership, who stand for the Second Amendment rights, Bloodline, and the science behind gun accuracy. Kinetics. To some, it's just a constitutional right that can go away. To us, it's in our American bloodline, and we believe it should stay that way. Here at Bloodline Kinetics, we understand that hunters, sportsmen, women, and gun owners should have a quality firearm. Stop and see us at 2008 Morrison Avenue 2 in Bismarck, North Dakota, 58504, Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Call 701-390-7997. Visit our website, bloodlinekinetics.com.
And
see, I figured I'd come back and I'd just be frozen.
Be frozen again?
Sorry.
I wasn't sure if it was me or on your end. And then
no, I was trying to figure out because I had an error up at the top.
So we are back, everybody. We are back.
Yeah, we're back. Thanks for hanging on with us, too.
Yeah, no, it says Mike's locked up. I hear you, Clay, and then boom, mine went down too. I don't know. Maybe they're trying to snipe us. Maybe they didn't like our comments tonight. So.
Well, that's all right.
I was wrapped up with it anyway. So, tell you what, do we want to introduce your badass of the week? And
well, I've got a little different on the badass of the week. I've got one guy we're going to talk about, particularly in the second part of it, but I threw in a few people of his same caliber in there in the beginning. So it's about 11 minutes long, but it's pretty good. Also, I got a couple of comments on YouTube about some of my pronunciations on some things. We were talking about Laos, as a matter of fact, last week with our Charles Beckwith. And, there was a town of, it was spelled Hugh, but it's pronounced Way. And I don't mind. I'm glad somebody wrote me and told me that because I didn't know. I mean, I just didn't know. So I will occasionally make a pronunciation. Matter of fact, I might pronounce Galavernio's name several different times, different this time. But, I don't mind at all if someone calls up or writes me and corrects me. Yeah, I mean, sometimes this is not as always easy to do, especially when we're going back on this guy in the 1500s, as a matter of fact. So it goes back a little way. So, yeah, if you want to fire it off, we'll do our gunsandthe701.com's Badass of the Week, Galavernio.
Right, here we go.
Everybody, we're back on gunsandthe701.com and our Badass of the Week. This week, well, for as long as there have been wars, there have been warriors who have found a second life on the battlefield. Bloodied, maimed, shot, cut open, stabbed, stepped on, and everything else, they're the ones that should have perished, but who nevertheless managed to stay alive and keep fighting. For example, General Frederick M. Franks was the commander behind the left hook of the American invasion of Iraq in Desert Storm. Franks' armored formations surged north into Iraq and toppled over dozens of Republican Guard divisions. He led the whole operation with one leg. Frank began his career in 1959, received an award for valor in Vietnam before heading off to Cambodia, where he was injured by a grenade in 1970, and the doctors were forced to amputate much of his left leg. He asked the Army for permission to continue to serve and eventually made it to a 4-star rank. Now, Alexei Marisev had just graduated flight training when the Nazis invaded the Soviet Union, and he was called to fly against the technologically advanced Luftwaffe. And in June of 1942, the young pilot was shot down over German-occupied territory. He had to crawl for 18 days back to the Russian lines. Now, the frostbite and the injuries from the wreck resulted in both his legs being amputated. But Marisev fought his way back to active duty, partially because he was already respected because of the 4 aerial kills he took before he was shot down. And in 1943, he again took to the air against the Nazis and shot down another 7 enemy aircraft before the war ended, earning him the title of Hero of the Soviet Union. Like Marisev, Douglas Bader was a respected pilot who lost his legs in a crash. Now, Bader's injuries resulted from an air show crash in 1931. The Royal Air Force retired him, but said he might be able to return if war broke out. Now, he spent the next 8 years perfecting flight with prosthetics. And in 1939, he was admitted back into the RAF and learned how to fly Spitfires. His first aerial kill came while he covered the evacuation at Dunkirk. But he rose to legendary status in the Battle of Britain, where he had 23 kills before being shot down and captured on August 9th of 1941. Jean Danjou graduated from the French military school at Saint Cyr and joined the army as an officer after fighting Algerian nationalists in 1840. Now, he volunteered to serve in the French Foreign Legion, and at the Battle of Sevastopol, Danjou lost his left hand. In 1863, Danjou led a 66-man element which came under attack by approximately 2,000 Mexican soldiers. He led a fighting withdrawal to a nearby estate at Cameroon and rallied his men for an 11-hour battle. Now, the unit was nearly wiped out, but inflicted hundreds of Mexican casualties. Now, Danjou died in the fighting. His prosthetic hand is now paraded in France every year at a commemoration of the battle. The battle is sometimes described as France's Alamo. Then there's Rear Admiral Horatio Nelson, who was already a British hero when he lost his left arm at the Battle of Santa Cruz de Tenerife in 1797. For most, this would signal a time to quietly retire, especially since Nelson had already given an eye up for his country. Instead, Nelson went into Super Admiral mode and just started waging even more intense battles against the French. In his 1798 victory at the Battle of the Nile, he stopped Napoleon's plans to conquer Egypt and threaten British-controlled India. And it was Nelson who defeated Napoleon's attempt to cross the English Channel and conquer Britain in 1805 at the Battle of Trafalgar. Lieutenant John B. Hood had already suffered a severe arm injury when he lost a leg at the Battle of Chickamauga in Georgia in 1863, with the Confederacy fighting for its life. Hood took a short convalescence and quickly returned to his command. He repeatedly attacked Union Major General William Sherman's troops in an attempt to stop the March to the Sea and relieve the pressure on Atlantans in 1864. Now, after fighting there, Hood led troops in defense of Tennessee in the Battle of Franklin and Nashville, with the Union Army marching south. He attempted to rally troops in Texas in 1865, but was eventually captured. Now, all those badasses lead up to this badass, who would give you 2 thumbs up on this if he still had thumbs. We're talking about Galvarino, a warrior who not only overcame a brutal injury, but used it to mold himself into something straight out of your worst nightmare. 500 years ago, in what was the early years of South America's protracted Arauco War, an army of Spanish conquistadors routed several thousand Mapuche Indians in the Battle of Laguanadas in south-central Chile, near the Biobío River. The Spanish captured 150 Mapuche prisoners, among them a young chieftain named Galvarino, and marched them back to the Spanish encampment. Now, after a swift and no doubt impartial trial, Governor Garcia Herato de Mendoza, the Spanish leader, ordered troops to sever the right hand and noses of each warrior and both hands of leaders like Galvernio. The gruesome act would be a message to the Mapuche: either submit or else. And according to Mapuche legends, after Galvernio's left hand was hacked off, he bravely offered up his right and watched the hatchet fall without flinching. He then asked his torturers to deliver the killing blow, a request that they denied. Now Galvernio and a dozen other mutilated warriors were then freed and ordered to tell their Mapuche general to surrender and prevent further bloodshed. Galvernio did no such thing. Instead, after he made it back, he urged his general and his people to continue to fight against the Spanish intruders. As described by Pedro Marino de Labero in the Chronicles of the Kingdom of Chile, Galvernio went before the Mapuche people, handless arms raised in the air, and told them what had been done to him, the Spanish would do to everyone else if they gave up. Their leaders declared that the Mapuche would strike back against the Spaniards, and he named Galvernio one of his commanders. But what good was a handless fighter against the enemy? Very little, as Galvernio knew well what he did next made him a badass. Before the next offensive, he fastened knives to both of his wrists. There's no record of how big the knives were or how sharp, though we'd like to imagine gleaming blades sprouting from his stumps. Historian Leslie Ray has referred to them as lances. On November 30th, 1557, less than a month after his capture, Galvernio was on the front line of what became known as the Battle of Mailarapu. The plan was to ambush the Spanish encampment and overwhelm Mendoza before he could turn his big guns, the cannons, and horses on the warriors. But the Mapuche sprang the trap too quickly, and despite initial success at stymieing Mendoza's cavalry, the commander managed to hit the native attackers with cannon fire, opening up a seam for his horsemen to ride through and sow chaos. In all, 3,000 Mapuche were killed, compared to only minor injuries and scores of dead horses on the Spanish side. Now, there were several hundred Mapuche captured. Galvernio was among them. Now, there's little evidence relating Galvernio's performance during the battle. Jerónimo de Villar, a Spanish soldier who later wrote on the account of the Arauca Wars, titled Chronicles, wrote that Galvernio motioned his warriors forward with his bladed arms, yelling, "Nobody is allowed to flee, but die, because you die defending your mother country." Villar also noted that Galvernio went up against Mendoza's squadron and managed to cut down the general's second in command after the battle. There would be no third chance for Galvernio. He and his men were sentenced to hang. Alonso de Ecasilla, a Spanish aide who would later write the epic poem La Araucana, claimed that he tried to intervene on Galvernio's behalf, entreating him to join the Spanish, to which Galvernio reportedly replied, "I would rather die than live like you. I am only sorry that my death will keep me from tearing you to pieces with my teeth." Some claim Mendoza threw Galvernio to the dogs, while others say he was hanged. Still others believe that Galvernio killed himself first to rob his captors of the pleasure. No matter what, the Arauca War would continue for nearly 300 years, with the Mapuche continuously resisting colonization by the Spanish. Now, the story of Galvernio was a rallying cry for the Mapuche. Galvernio's story has served perhaps more than any other to perpetuate the Mapuche's reputation for courage and tenacity. And with that, our story comes to an end. Definitely, 100%. Galvernio's was a super double-bladed badass. The sources for this were mentalfloss.com by Jeff Wells from December 10th, 2014, as well as wearethemighty.com and Wikipedia. Hey, thanks everybody for tuning in for gunsinthe701.com and our Badass of the Week.
Every week, we try to give you another badass of history you just may not have heard of. If you've got a badass you want to hear about, well, there's one simple thing to do. guns@gunsinthe701.com. You can email us and tell us about the badass you want us to talk about. And while you're on the computer or your phone or whatever else, why not head on over to gunsinthe701.com and check out all our merch we've got for sale, backstories, back videos, and everything else. Plus, you see that little QR code up in the corner there? You can click on that as well and donate money. Now, everybody's going through a tough time right now, so here's the deal. If you can spare $5, $10, or whatever else, we would appreciate it. It helps us keep our studios up to snuff, and Lord knows it just is not as cheap as they make it out to be to do podcasts. So we'd love any help from you. Don't forget to tune in for Badass of the Week again next week on gunsinthe701.com and all our social media platforms. And as my buddy Clay always says, keep your powder dry and stay safe, you badasses.
Hey, nice job again, Mike. Nice job.
There you go. There you go. That was pretty good.
Yeah. All right. There we go.
What was the one person that said, oh, yeah, so people without trigger fingers were able to kill people without guns.
That's right.
Thank you, Doug.
Jamie loved it. He said, I thought that was great. I really did. They get better, I think, every week. So nice job.
I'm learning more. And pretty much after next week, I might have the new computer here. And so I'll be able to do editing at home. And
you will. I have it sitting here.
Get some stuff done. So, yeah, it'll be pretty good. My
you
studio is getting quieter and quieter. I've got a lot of padding up now. So
I noticed that. I haven't even had a flush tonight.
You did have one. I caught it before it got loud. So
okay.
It's not as bad as it used to be. But, yeah, I've got this up in the ceiling now. So it's pretty good.
You can have a fancier one than me pretty soon. So I did. Doug's planning to be here. And it sounds like David's going to be here on Saturday along with you guys. Of course, like I said, we got Chris coming in from Minnesota. We're going to have a good crowd down there tonight. So even though we couldn't do it up at Access, we're going to still have some fun. So
yeah, we're going to have some
fun. I turned them back on. I kind of forgot about the overlay because she missed seeing all the comments. And yeah, I guess I didn't even think about it tonight. So, hey, I wasn't on my game. I can tell you that.
That's all right. That's right. We had a little computer glitch there for a bit, and we were out. But it's all right.
It happens.
About 2 minutes. 2 minutes out.
Well, I don't have anything else. I got some announcements to go over. But do you got anything else you want to cover tonight?
We'll be with Mitchell in the morning coming up on KFYR on Friday, and I'll be doing that early. Of course, what's the time is 8:45, right?
Yeah, it's anywhere between 8:40 and 8:45 Central. So, of course, hour behind on Mountain Time. But yeah. Friday morning, I got a couple things I want to. I think I got a good happy ending for this week if he wants to go over. But
good.
And then I really want to do that Kid Rock deal. That deal that I think that was awesome. Todd actually sent that to me. Did you see
with
that?
With the Rolling Stone artist?
Yeah.
Rolling Stone writer?
I think we got a hit on it because Kid Rock, he don't pull no punches. And I thought it was kind of funny. He didn't really care what that reporter said.
Yeah, I remember one time when I was younger, in my younger days in radio, I was about a rock station, and I had Ted Nugent there, and it was great because and we had a Hootie and the Blowfish poster behind us on the wall, and we were all talking, and he says, well, what do you think about the newer music like this? And he reaches back and he pulls out this beautiful 45 and he points it at the poster. He says, well, if you take the two on the outside, I'll take the one in the center. It was awesome. So yeah, he didn't really care for Hootie and the Blowfish too much.
In this interview, Kid Rock was doing a little drinking. It sounded like, which is fine. But then he pulled out a gun and he said, "I got a gun right here. I got guns everywhere." So yeah, we'll give you a little teaser. I think we need to do that one, and I'm sure Todd's gonna have some fun. So we might not get to a lot. We might get to that and maybe one other one. I mean, there's not a lot of time there. So.
There's a lot happening this week, so we'll find out what we got coming up Friday morning.
There is. So the big thing is, like I said, Mandan Sporting Goods is moving to 206 4th Avenue Northwest there in Mandan. So you want to check that out June 1st. He's going to be opening the doors up over there. And, of course, he's one of our sponsors, and we'll give you a little more updates on that. Tuesday, September. Don't rush summer, right? Tuesday, May 28th, we're going to have Dr. Rick Becker on, U.S. candidate for North Dakota for Congress. And he's got a stellar record. I've got his record here. I'll have it handy, and I'm going to basically get it and let everybody see exactly where he stands on the Second Amendment. And I'm not concerned. It's unwavering. And Rick was huge at getting concealed carry at one time. Some of the changes made to that, and then he basically authored our constitutional carry bill.
Right.
So yeah, we just definitely we're glad to have Rick joining us. It took a little bit, but we got him on here. Then Jamie is going to be coming on the 30th. Well, of course, we got the Wednesday show as well next week. Then Jamie's going to have on the 30th. Alex Balez is going to come back on for about the first 30 minutes, I think, of the show, and he's also a U.S. House candidate for North Dakota. And I don't know what that one's going to be about, so tune in there. Alex is a pretty genuine guy. He seems like, I know a lot of people disagree with me on that, but I'm telling you, I've had the opportunity now to speak with him and be around him, and I don't know. I think he's genuine. If he's not, he's you know what? I'm not good at it. Yeah. I'm not fooled easily. So, but yeah, so Jamie will have him on 701 Nation, and this weekend, of course, we're having our 2A day. We had to move it. It's going to be down at Whalen's Range down here around the Bullhead area, and have a good time. So I'm looking forward to it. That's about all I got for announcements.
That's all I got too. So I can't wait to see you guys this weekend. Me and Jack are really looking forward to it.
And who knows if we can find some service while we're down there. It's kind of down there in a hole. But if we can get a little service, maybe
that's the way Whalen likes it, though. So he likes to be cut off a little bit.
Yes. So we'll have to see if we can. Maybe we'll try to go live. We'll have to see. I know I did that from the prairie dog shoot that I went with over at Selfridge with Doug and Axe last year.
Right.
But it didn't turn out great, but we did make it happen. There's just the service wasn't that good. And who knows? Maybe we'll get a little prairie dog shooting. I mean, you're staying most of the weekend, so we might we'll do something else too. So
yeah, well, we'll figure something out.
All right, I'm looking good. I'm looking forward to it. Sending some freedom seeds downrange with good friends and good neighbors, and I know we're gonna have good food. We always do. So I'm looking forward to having a good time and probably gathering at the little rental house in town in the evenings. I think that's the plan. I think.
Right.
All right, with that, everybody, something that I've been kind of forgetting to do, and I'm going to do it this evening. And so I'm just going to give everybody a nice prayer, and we'll see everybody after the show here. Lord, we'd like to thank you for the nation you have blessed us with. We really want to ask that you watch over us and bless it again. We're going through a lot of turmoil right now. Keep us safe, keep us strong, and please let us remain free as we were founded in your word. We also want to ask that you watch over all the men and women that are currently serving, but being this is Memorial Day, please watch over those families that lost their loved ones who gave that ultimate sacrifice. Please remember those who fought and died to keep us free and keep this nation together so that you and I wouldn't have to someday. We also ask that you'll just bless us with everything that you provide us with, the great weather, food, shelter, everything that we have is because of you. In your name we pray, Lord. Amen. So,
amen.
All right. Well, with that, I'm going to call it an evening. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in on this beautiful evening. And I know it's hard to come in. Remember, starting in June, what will that date be? I'm also going to look it up here. So starting June 5th, we will go to our new hours, and we will start 1 hour later. So it'll be 7 o'clock Mountain, 8 o'clock Central. And I think that's going to work out better.
Yeah, it's going to work out.
And we'll do that throughout the summer, and probably then September after Labor Day, switch back to our old. We'll see. We'll see what the numbers are like. So with that, everybody, again, I want to thank you. Make sure you check out our store. Go to gunsandthe701.com. We got everything uploaded generally up there right away. I've been a little bit lax on the other two tabs, but on that landing page, you'll see the newest episodes airing there, including the Badass and 701 Nation. And then check out our store. Go buy some merchandise. We got some great caps, shirts, and if you got a special request, I can probably fulfill that as well. And then that little donation deal, I took it off there during the Badass, but there's also in the store you can make a donation and help keep this boat afloat. And we want to thank our great sponsors. This program is powered by LAUER Auto Repair and has been since it began. And, of course, Bloodline Kinetics has joined that top sponsor rank as well. And hopefully we're going to have our guns soon so we can preview them and have some fun. Right. Mine's a little different than Jamie's. They're both ARs, but mine's a little bit fancier just because they're flashier. Maybe that's the way to put it, because I really wanted people to come up and go, hey, where'd you get that? And then I can talk about the sponsor. So again, thanks to our sponsors. Thanks to everybody for listening. And as I always say, guys, keep your powder dry. We'll see everybody next.